104.5 The Team, your home for New York Yankees baseball. It is Thursday, so we get to talk to our friend, and as many people say, like, you know, my reality fix, Buster Olney, with us right now. Buster, a lot of articles linking Sonny Gray to the Yankees from you. How confident are you this is going to get done?
I think they're the front runner to get him. If I had to guess and bet the family farm, I think that they're going to wind up moving him. Excuse me, because of the circumstances. I think they probably are the best matchup for Oakland right now. Look, the Cubs could use Sonny Gray, but they've expended a lot of prospects over the last year, and including some for Jose Quintana, so they're not necessarily in that mix. I think as strongly as the Yankees are. The Dodgers have the prospects to get it done, but I don't think they're as strongly on him. Not being a team that, generally speaking, is very conservative in the prospects that it wants to give up. So I think that they're going to wind up with him, and I think he's a great fit for Yankee Stadium because he's a guy who, works at the very bottom of the strike zone, and he generates a whole lot of ground balls, and that's what the Yankees certainly are looking for in Yankee Stadium.
Buster Olney with us, right? Buster, so like forever as a Yankee fan, like the Yankees are always the boogeyman. Like if you've got a free agent, you link him to the Yankees because then you get more money. If you're making a trade, you link him to the Yankees because nobody wants the Yankees to have the player. This is real though, right? I can actually kind of get my hopes up a little bit.
Well, the reason why this is real is because the Yankees, and this should make you very happy, the Yankees probably have the deepest group of farm prospects that they've had in more than 20 years. And so a lot of times, you're right, when a big name became available in a trade in midseason in the past, the Yankees would be thrown in there because they're the Yankees and they're trying to win championships. But then a bidding war would ensue, and the Yankees were always, fifth or sixth. I remember situations with folks on other teams saying, nope, not interested in talking to them because they don't have any prospects. In this case, they probably have the best set of prospects to match up in a deal with the Oakland Athletics. So absolutely it's real, and I think you'll if it goes down as someone who's known Sonny a long time, I think you really like him.
Buster, any idea on who the Yankees might have to give up to get Sonny Gray?
The Oakland Athletics, in the past conversations the two teams have had a lot of interest in Jorge Mateo, who's one of their better prospects, a shortstop, who earlier this week, because Oakland's looking for outfielders, they're talking about they had Mateo play center field, and they're talking about him. But here's the great thing about the Yankees: they just have such a great group. A lot of range, a lot of options for Oakland to work through. It's like a nice menu, and I know the conversations between the two teams. They basically have, the Athletics have told the Yankees who they'd be interested in. The Yankees are moving ahead with the conversation, and they're in such a great position to bid for an elite player in a way that they haven't been in past years.
All right, Buster, tell us some fun stories about future Yankee Sonny Gray.
Well, he is a big game, sort of a big stage guy. He always has been, and my favorite story about him is when he was a senior in high school, and he was being recruited by Vanderbilt, and he also happened that year to be the lead in his high school play, high school musical, okay? So Tim Corbin, who's the coach at Vanderbilt, he's in the midst of recruiting him, and he goes to his high school play, and Corbs gets an email pops in. He's looking down at his phone, and he's sending out an email, and all of a sudden a text message pops up on his phone, and it's from Sonny Gray sending it to him from the stage. And the text message is, "Why are you looking at your phone, meat?" And basically challenging him doing that. And I asked Sonny about it. I said, "Yeah, it's in High School Musical. Someone else was talking. I look up, and Tim's looking at his phone. I figured I'd let him know about it."
Back to the guys that are on the Yankees already, Buster. Jacoby, Ellsbury, and Chase Headley. Are they both going to stay with the Yankees? Is one of them going to go? Is both of them going to go by the time this deadline passes?
Well, I do think that sometime before the spring training in 2018 that Jacoby Ellsbury will be with another team, because the Yankees have now made it clear he doesn't have a place as a regular player on their team anymore. They've got Clint Frazier, who's playing great, and they've got Aaron Judge, and they've got Brett Gardner, they got Aaron Hicks coming back. Jacoby Ellsbury doesn't have a future with the Yankees, and so I'm sure if they're not already, having conversations with teams about bad contract for bad contract swaps for example, I wouldn't be surprised if they were a nice matchup for the Giants and Jeff Samardzija, who went into his start yesterday with an ERA over 5. He might be someone who wouldn't be that much fun to watch in Yankee Stadium, where he gives up a lot. He gives up a lot of fly balls. He wouldn't be a great match there. But a lot of this comes down to functional money, right? I mean, know that Jacoby Ellsbury in the current circumstance isn't functional within their organization, doesn't have a place. Well, maybe if you trade him for a pitcher like Jordan Zimmerman of the Tigers, you get somebody who is more functional for what you have, even if that player's not great.
Buster Olney with us right now, 104.5 The Team. Buster, a 4-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays starts tonight. As the loudest and most obnoxious Yankee fan how nervous should I be?
I think you should be nervous. I think the Rays are a good team. Look, their starting pitching is probably the best in the division, top to bottom. Alex Cobb has thrown a lot better, especially over his last 10 starts. He's been fantastic. They got Chris Archer. They hit a lot of home runs. They got a lot of veterans in their lineup. And, earlier today they added a left-handed reliever, Jennings from the White Sox. And from what I understand, they're also looking for other relief help. They're a good team. And I actually think that, because start of the day on Thursday, the Yankees are just a game behind the Red Sox. The Rays not far behind them. It wouldn't surprise me if any one of these three teams doesn't make the playoffs, given the strength of the other two. If the Yankees fell behind the Rays, I don't think that'd be a shock. I think with the Red Sox, their issues with their lineup and the fact that they don't hit a lot of home runs, that wouldn't be a surprise either. By the way, I didn't mention this about the Yankees, and you asked the question about Chase Headley.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if in the midst of these talks about Sonny Gray, if Oakland has a big ask and they say, hey, we want this prospect, we want this group, and the Yankees balk at that, then they might say, I tell you what, we'll throw Yonder Alonso into the mix because there isn't really a market for him, and I suspect that he's the last chip that Oakland will throw in, like a log going onto a pile of logs to make a deal happen.
That would be pretty interesting. The Yankees would be almost a complete overhaul in some of their troubled spots. Buster, as we go in New York but not over to Citi Field, why is this Jay Bruce deal not going to happen? I mean, he's hitting well. The Mets clearly want to move him. What's going on with that?
There's no need for him in the marketplace. It's a terrible, as we've been talking about in recent weeks, it's an absolutely awful market to try to sell on position players. You look at the teams that are running away with the divisions, the Washington Nationals, the Houston Astros, the Dodgers. They don't have a need for position players. Some of the Yankees have a need now, left-handed hitting first baseman. The Red Sox were looking for a third baseman before they traded for Eduardo Nunez the other day. But among contenders, Cubs are looking for a backup catcher. There just really isn't a need for those type of guys. And so even though Jay Bruce is having this excellent season, they can't even get a team to say, yeah, we'll take all of his salary. That tells you how much of a buyer's market it is. And I do think at some point, if you see an outfielder, a veteran guy get injured the next few days, or the Mets just get desperate and decide to kick in some of the money to try to make a deal happen, he could move. But it's not going to be for the type of prospects that I think people would imagine when you're talking about a hitter who might wind up the year with 40 homers.
Buster, after today, the next time we're going to talk to you is going to be after the trade deadline. Any deals that you're seeing could be done by the deadline on Monday?
Well, I do. As I mentioned, I think Sonny Gray will wind up with the Yankees. We'll have to see, how that goes. Atlanta, I think, might still be in the mix there. Yu Darvish, the more and more from talking with executives, they believe that he's going to be traded before the deadline. They think that the Texas is motivated to move him, and all they have to do to make it worth their while is to get more than what they would get if he were to leave as a free agent, which is the value of a second-round pick. And whether it's the Dodgers or the Cubs or some other team, I think they'll be able to do that. I got to tell you, though, his outing, and this is the time of year when small sample size really matters for teams, which is why they send scouts to watch these guys in these last games before the deadline. Small sample size matters. And last night, Yu Darvish had what was his worst outing of his entire career, 3 2/3 innings, 10 runs, and he was getting hit hard. And I suspect that that'll also be part of the reason why Texas decides to move him.
Speaking of Texas, Buster, is there anybody more fun than Adrian Beltre in all of baseball?
No. And I'm assuming you're referring to what happened during the course of their game last night, which is, he gets ejected from the game because Jerry Davis, the second base umpire, told him to stand in the batter's box. And to get back in the batter's circle, and so Adrian Beltre drags the on-deck circle over to where he was standing, waiting on deck to hit, and Jerry Davis ejects him at that point, and so what I thought was funny, and as soon as I saw this happen, I looked at the temperature of the game when the game started, 97 degrees. This game finished with a score of 22-10. It lasted more than 4 hours. This happened in the bottom of the eighth inning, and I'm sure Jerry Davis was like a tired parent. And so that when Adrian Beltre dragged that on-deck circle over to the side, Jerry Davis is like a grumpy parent just saying, okay, that's it, go to your room. I've had it. Because it was a funny, passive-aggressive way of dealing with this situation. And while Jerry Davis, after the game, he probably was thinking, you know what, I didn't handle that great. You can't blame him either.
No. Buster, where are you headed this weekend?
Out to L.A. to see the Giants and the Dodgers, who never seem to lose.
I know, man. Like I thought it was going to be the Nationals on the National League side. It's going to be hard to get past those Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely loaded. And the funny thing is the Giants have actually won 6 of 10 from them this year, but that is an aberration. They have the second worst record in baseball.
Buster, we appreciate you as always.
See you guys.